Hi there, Giovanni. This is Bev. I'm an ex-Ielts examiner. I'll be giving you your feedback on your two tasks. Okay, so task one. Let's take a look. Right, the bar chart depicts the number of people who died from the swine flu throughout the world between 1990 and 2000, according to the World Health Organization. Okay, remember that you could also refer to this period as a decade, okay, and that could just up your vocab a little bit. All right, there were 178,000 fatalities per year from this disease across the world in 97 and 98. Okay, per year is when you're referring to several years, but I see here that you are referring to just those 2 years. So what you could say is that there were 178 fatalities in 1997 and 98 respectively. Okay, full stop. These 2 years, the bar chart shows these 2 years as being, hang on, you've now gone and you've mentioned decade. Hang on, this is a little bit confusing, Giovanni. You've said being these the most critical period in the decade mentioned based on the number of casualties by this sort of flu. Okay, you need to make this paragraph a little bit clearer. You need to say that, so you could possibly start by saying, you don't have to refer to decade there, rather use it here. You can say, throughout this decade, the years 97 and 98 proved to be the 2 years with the highest record of fatalities, being 178,000 respectively. Okay. 1990, you can't really say the third worst year. You could just say that in 1990 proved to have the least amount of fatalities, coming in, showing only 2,000 cases. Okay. Then, when you say on the contrary, you need to be comparing it. Okay. When you say on the contrary, what are you specifically comparing it to? You need to be a bit clearer there. Okay. So it would be better to say that when comparing the years 1991, 94, 99 against 97, 98, and 1990, the least number of deaths caused by this illness showed 55,000 cases. Showed 55,000 less cases. Okay, you need to be specific about which years you are comparing. It's a little bit confusing for the reader. Okay, then you say, and when you refer here to the peak years, you need to say the years that showed the highest amount of fatalities. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing here. Fluctuations during the whole period brought a diverse range of figures in the other years. Okay, oscillating, not the right word to use. You've already referred to fluctuation, so this is actually repeating your thought. Fluctuations during the whole period brought a diverse range of figures in the other years, ranging from brought a diverse range of figures from 130,000 in 1993 to 160,000 deaths in the year 2000. Okay, Giovanni, you really need to clear up what you're saying about which years and which ones you are comparing. Okay. Overall, the swine flu produced roughly 1.7 million fatalities, you don't need of, throughout the world in the last decade of the 20th century. Full stop. Being 1997 and a subsequent year the most affected registered the shortest number, not the shortest number, but the lowest number of fatal cases, ending the decade with, no, that's confusing. Okay, Giovanni, this essay is very difficult for the reader to make sense of, okay? You're putting the facts at the end of a sentence instead of at the beginning of the sentence, okay? So you might want to start off by saying, what is reflected in terms of fatalities related to swine flu in the last decade of the 20th century. What is most notable was that in 1997, it can be noted the following, okay? Whilst in the years 91, 94, 94, the lowest figures were registered, okay? Showing that towards the end of the decade, figures had started to rise, okay? Giovanni, the coherence here is very difficult to follow. You really need to be careful with that and make it clear to the reader. Your layout is correct. You've gone through that. You've used some nice vocabulary. The spelling is good. But your sentence structure and the clarity, you really need to look at that. Go and have a look at the sentence guide. Go and do a little bit of copy, read, copy, and rewrite, okay? Just to get the structure of your sentences. Okay, let's take a look now at your task 2, okay? Right, Giovanni, your task 2, I see the word count is 320, okay? The minimum word count is 250, and while you are not penalized for going over that 250, it does take up more of your time, okay? It also means that you need to be a little more succinct in making your point, all right? I've read through the essay before the recording, and it is very difficult to follow your exact points, okay? Your sentences need to be broken up a little bit more. You need to keep your ideas, one idea per sentence. It's become very difficult for the reader, okay? There are also a lot of spelling that you need to relook at, and also a lot of the word choices that you've used. It's great vocabulary, but maybe you're not using the words to the best advantage. You'll get more marks for making your point clear using basic vocabulary rather than trying to use very high level vocabulary and not using it effectively. Okay, we'll go through it and then I'll show you what I'm referring to. Okay, so paragraph 1, the introduction. The creative human mind has provided our race with an endless amount of tools, resources, and devices which have transformed our lives as we know it today. Okay, and full stop. I think that's what you're trying to say. Okay, it's not necessarily the human mind that has provided us with tools. It is inventions and discoveries. That you might want to say what the human mind has discovered or invented over our lifetimes has provided these things. Okay. Here it would be unthinkable to put these essential innovations aside because of the undeniable number of benefits that have been obtained. Okay. This essay will discuss some of those advantages acquired from human creations which have improved our standards of living as well as increased our life expectancy. That's a good sentence, okay? Full stop. Both of these issues may be considered as two of the most essential objectives by humans, okay? On the one hand, the adversities that some of the difficulties that I think nature adversities, I don't know if you're talking about natural disasters, okay, or dealing with the elements, okay, because you go on to talk about people living in cold countries, okay. So be a little bit more specific about what you mean, because the reader, I don't know exactly what you're referring to. Okay, so has not forced but compelled the human race to tackle threats and challenges, being exposed to the elements in order to survive. Okay, litmus test is not the best use of the word here. Go and have a look at how you could use this. A litmus test is when you've actually carried out a comparative study of something. Okay, so you can just say this is clear proof that humankind needed to find energy sources which would provide them with warmth and strength. I don't know about strength, but with warmth and maybe energy, with the aim of supplying them food and goods. Okay, again, you need to be a little bit more clearer and more specific, extend your point a bit more. A case in point was the invention of calification machines at home. Okay, this is a very technical term to describe one of these machines. Okay, there are various types, so you need to actually just give a short explanation of its function. Okay, whether it's a generator, whether it's a heater, cooler, or how it works in certain basic home equipment that we use. Okay, so it's actually more of a function than an actual machine. All right, so, but you need to explain that. Your average reader is not going to be familiar with that. Okay, this has not only ensured human life in places with extremely cold weather conditions like Alaska or the Scandinavian countries, but has also improved the quality of life in other places during cooling seasonal. I think you mean. I don't know if you mean whether in other places where you want to help to cool down the temperature, or whether or other places where you have extremely cold seasons. Okay, you need to be clear, Giovanni. It's very difficult for the reader to make sense here. Okay, therefore some inventions could solve problems which endanger or affect human life. Okay, on the other hand, some creations have drastically improved our jobs and lifestyle, that it is totally out of the question to disregard them, not leave them behind, but to disregard them. This is largely due to the fact that every aspect of our social working and educational lives have become dependent entirely on these sort of machines or technology. The most noteworthy of these inventions might be computers. Not several research, but you can just say extensive research undertaken in the US has estimated that 4 out of every 5 homes has a computer globally. Okay, full stop. Furthermore, there are more than 70% of schools in Western societies base their schooling on computer software and technology. Not to mention in the workplace. Thus, some machines make our lives easier and better. To conclude, from the examples given, I agree with the paramount importance of creations and findings in humanity, as well as the predicted scenario for a greater reliance and dependence of human race on them. Okay, you need to look at your terminology in this final sentence, this final paragraph, Giovanni. They are saying that you need to say whether you think it's a good thing or not, that there is going to be greater reliance. Okay, you need to connect your concluding paragraph with your opening paragraph, and by doing so you need to be answering the question in the task. Okay, you need to go and look at some example essays. This would be very difficult for a reader to follow, Giovanni, and you might only get a 5, I'm afraid. And as I said before, you need to use your vocabulary that you have effectively, and not just try and use a higher level of vocabulary. It's got to be used effectively. Okay, but a very good effort, Giovanni. Okay, good.